You're listening to the Youth Critic Podcast on KHZ Network. Find us on Facebook at DecibelUNG Radio and find us on Twitter at DecibelUNG. If you like this episode, please leave a like and comment on our iTunes page at KHZ Network.
Simply extraordinary.
And now for the podcast.
Maybe this will all make sense if I explain who I am. My name is Dr. Ellie Staple, and I'm a psychiatrist. My work concerns a particular type of delusion of grandeur. It's a growing field. I specialize in those individuals who believe they are superheroes.
Good for you.
The three of you've convinced yourselves you have extraordinary gifts like something out of a comic book. David Dunn, the only person to survive that train wreck all those years ago.
What do you do?
I'm in security.
You think you have superpowers.
It's a feeling. Vision. I have to touch them.
You believe you are a protector.
My name is Patricia.
I have no question there are 24 identities
I'm Mary Reynolds. Por favor, señora. We almost got you, bro.
that live in that body with you.
The beast is coming any minute now for you guys.
But what I am questioning is your belief that you are something more than human.
And yet, it is true.
Hello everyone, welcome to the Youth Critic Podcast. I'm your host, Cale Smith. Joining me today is Gina Versa.
Hello.
And today we are going to be talking about Glass, M. Night Shyamalan's final film in the Unbreakable trilogy, and the Estrail trilogy, all those things. Gene, without going into spoilers, what did you think of Glass?
I really enjoyed it as a film, and I felt that this is one of M. Night's most stylized, well-crafted, one of his catalog of movies. This one really impressed me. I'm totally on that M. Night Shyamalan resurgence, his renaissance, if you will. I saw this at I saw this early a week before it came out at Beyond Fest, and I said I really enjoyed it in a movie, but also as this capstone and this end to the Estrail 177 trilogy. It's pretty magnificent of an ending, and I really appreciated the empathy that M. Night shows in this movie, and just in general as well, because he's just a very empathetic filmmaker. That, because one or two bad movies that happen, so it's understandable. He has like a really bad rep, really bad rep, so it's just like, I'm glad that finally it seems like everyone's been appreciating him. And I rewatched this in IMAX, and it looks great in IMAX, so I'd really recommend that to anyone. Went off on a tangent there, but yeah, I was really enjoying this movie second time around.
So my thing with Glass is that I think it's an excellent film. I think it has a great finale to the trilogy, especially as a trilogy that's about empathy and acceptance towards people of mental illness, as this trilogy is kind of formed to be. And while I do have my faults, I think the issue with the movie is more or less people's expectations. I think in a movie where, it is comic booky and it's also in its DNA, like it's got the comic book movie structure, it has the structure, but and also it was promoted as a big comic book movie epic crossover, and I think people's expectations were they wanted a bigger movie, whereas Glass is very much a smaller, more interesting movie versus something that we always get like at least once a month now when we're seeing these comic book movies. But I think what people misunderstand about M. Night Shyamalan is at his best when he's character centric, when he's minimal, and when he is in just rooms and people just sitting down
Yeah.
and
Sure.
characters are talking. So for him to do a big blockbuster action climax, for Glass, I think would have been a disservice. I think it would have totally fallen flat even more than what people are already talking about. Because M. Night Shyamalan's just not he's not an action filmmaker.
Yeah.
He's more of a horror filmmaker.
Right. I would say though that how he shoots action. I was going to say how he shoots action in this movie is very impressive as well, where it's like a lot of like point of view shots and a lot of like interesting angles in like the battle between the Horde and Bruce Willis's character David Dunn, who is the overseer, right?
I think that's what they title him in this movie. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That's what this universe like gives him as his vigilante name.
Right, it's better than the Tiptoe Man.
Yeah. Don't ever say the Tiptoe Man again.
You know what? It was did you like the name the Overseer?
I did. It's a not. I wouldn't have picked it for that character, but I mean, he really is. But that character really does like in his actions just over people, and he finds them through the act of of essentially their past and overseeing what they do.
Right.
That's or what they're going to do. So for him, the overseer fits. It fits just. Again, this is a comic book movie, so or a deconstruction of a comic book movie. It works to have something simplistic for that character.
Right.
I can't stress enough. These movies are simplistic.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I was just gonna
and minimal.
Yeah, I was just gonna add that I would have really thought that because I saw it in a trilogy, and I believe one of the comics he reads in the first one was called like the Sentry, when he's the hero's fighting like the Brute on one of the covers, and it's called the Sentry. So I was like, oh yeah, it's gonna be called that. And I don't know, I thought that would have been an interesting callback if he was called the Sentry or so, and instead of Overseer.
Go ahead.
Oh no, it just sounds awkward to me.
I mean, some of this, again, in my Shyamalan, it's kind of awkward in his presentation. So it fits just. Again, the way to look at Glass is you kind of have to look at it on the character and then what he's trying to do. Mm-hmm. And instead of what you were marketed as, because I feel like the marketing does do a little bit of a disservice to his promoted such as like this epic showdown,
right?
To the climax of this, they're like, oh my god, they're gonna David Dunn and the Overseer and the Horde are gonna fight on top of of a building, epic and cool, which mild spoiler never happens.
Mm-hmm.
So I think I think the kind of the backlash for Glass is people
People.
on what the movie's merits are or what the movie's trying to do.
Mhm.
But but I feel like Glass is going to be discussed more because of what it's trying to do, and really it's very much the same vein of it's a slash dissection of these previous two films.
Yeah, it's yeah. I mean, I really think that some of the discourse on this movie is a little, I don't know, it feels kind of misguided and at times, I don't know, a little lazy, I guess, or it's like, oh, I hated this, and it's like this one aspect of the ending makes this movie terrible, and it's like, well, then you just didn't like that particular part. It wasn't a bad movie, it was just you didn't agree with that, and like, just some of the discourse you wish could be a bit better at times.
Well, I mean, the movie has faults, or
Mhm.
it has, like, again, M. Night Shyamalan. It's still the movie still reeks of Shyamalan's ego because Shyamalan just cannot let the fact that overrating expectations or bringing up a trope. Like he has to kind of bring it up
Mhm.
in a movie like Deadpool. It could work because I mean that's that character. But the problem with the this trilogy is it's built up as this very grounded, very
Mhm.
minimalistic, down to earth trilogy. Some of these characters point out, things like, and this is where the bad guys are teaming up, or oh, how alliances have changed. Stuff like that. It's a little bit like, there's a comic book movie every month. We get it.
Mhm.
In April, there's going to be 3. So we
Yeah.
get it. We get the tropes you're bringing up. You,
Mm.
you don't have to, spell it out for us. This isn't 2000. This isn't 2000.
Yeah, exactly.
Um, I just, I don't know. I just feel that that's a sticking point, and I a little bit more so. I wish we had spent a more time with the character, like in their cells, because to me the most interesting parts of the movie is when we're focused on the characters grappling on with the ideas of if they are really or not.
Mhm.
And but the movie focuses a lot more on Ellie Staple or Sarah Paulson's
Yes.
character more than just cutting. And for me, I think that's a loss. I think M. Night really should have. I think he had a really interesting subplot with David Dunn coming to terms with, am I really a superhuman, or is this a psychological brain hemorrhaging thing that was created from the concussion in the train crash
Mhm.
or the train derailment in the first movie?
Yeah, that was. Oh man, I don't know if we could get into spoilers yet, because I really wanted to talk about that.
Let's get into the spoilers. So everyone, if you haven't seen Glass, I think recommend it. Uh, so just come say for spoilers. That's great. Please do. If you haven't seen the movie, don't bother. Uh, anyway, G, go ahead and what do you want to say? On my
Yeah, I really like the trajectory of his character, where he's very much like dark. The excuse me. the Dark Knight Returns of his kind of superhero career. He's old. He's like bitter. His wife died, which I wish they elaborated on that a little more. It feels like that was left out. I don't know if you got that feeling because the original actress didn't come back for whatever reason.
Robin Wright.
But yeah, it was weird. But yeah, I think Bruce Willis does a pretty good job, and this is someone that has been notorious for phoning in a lot of his performances. So yeah, I really appreciated his arc in this movie, and yeah.
It's not. I mean, he's not given a whole lot to do, thankfully. Like, but he is. He does have a subplot that gets really shortened, or it becomes next to nothing. And I wonder if that's more scenes like Willis just wasn't handling it. M. Night was hoping, and so they had to cut it down. Or
yeah, I felt like there was some more stuff with Audrey.
Or was M. Night really compelled by Ellie Staples' investigation / dissection into all three of these characters? And that seems to be my big issue with the movie, is that there's all these different characters that we've come to know, and all these different, things that we've known about these characters, and they're all going through different breakdowns because of Ellie Staple, in that, she is basically she's basically the one, questioning everyone, and we see her questioning everyone. However, we don't see everyone like in their own space questioning their own sanity that much. We only get snippets of of what they think they've seen, and or what they believe. I mean, in this movie, it becomes a minor subplot where Patricia, one of Kevin Wendell Crum's personalities, she becomes a believer in that, she doubts herself, if the Horde is really as powerful and as strong of a force as she was led to believe. And that's a very interesting arc, but that only happens in 1.5 scenes. And then you have only 2 or 3 scenes of David Dunn, contemplating, his whole life, and, and even kind of looking back at, his wife's passing and everything that was there for that. And then you have, Elijah Price, muted, for half of the movie, so he doesn't even have a voice. So for over half of the movie, we have this one character who we haven't been following, and she just keeps making the same points over and over with each character, just with, different variations, but really going to the same point. And for me, I find that a little disappointing in a movie that is supposed to be a crossover. Maybe not, epic in the terms of like Civil War, or an Avengers movie, but still it feels like a wasted opportunity. And I think that's and for me, that's the fault of the movie. Even if for me, I don't know, I love the ideas in there. You have to, there's this B plot with Ellie Staple that you have to kind of beat around the bush about, because that also is shrouded with a big spoiler, twist point. And for me, I guess just kind of jumping to the end, Ellie Staple is a part of the secret organization,
right? And yeah, that was a pretty dramatic twist, I'll admit to that. But I was just going to add that I actually really enjoyed the Ellie Staple parts, because it felt I felt that the Ellie Staple character was very good at representing almost institutions or these pillars of society that keep people down, that keep a lot of, the broken, as they say in the movie, they keep them like, complacent, or they keep them sedated. And that goes to the twist, where the twist really worked for me, because a lot of like institutions say like a lot of institutions work as these, almost like a secret society, where it's just like, say like uh like forms of government, they like oppress people, or mental institutions, they misdiagnose people, or they mistreat people, and the level of control they have over certain types of people, they almost like feel like a secret society, like an Illuminati, if you
Right,
will.
of course, exactly. I mean, you can make an example to Ellie Staple as a character that is still working off of archaic language as well, or archaic, mental health sciences. In that, she believes she has, all these explanations, all these answers. However, in the end, she, she just she doesn't realize the full capabilities of these people, and she doesn't realize that these are more exceptionalities than, disabilities. And and I mean, and you can say that that's the movie's, dig to how we've treated, or how little we've, given serious, thought into mental health sciences, especially in the climate today, where, we still have, the suicide rate is high, and we just have all these, different problems, and that's where, you have all these, and it all goes, to the idea, and all of this all contributes to, the insecurities that Kevin Wendell Crumb and all of his personalities feel, as, they all feel different in that they're all, part of one body, but they all inhabit him. And then you have, people like Anya Taylor-Joy's character, in that same boat as well. So it all accumulates to very interesting ideas. However, I still feel like Ellie Staple as a character just kind of keeps repeating the same things because of reasons, and also to build to a subverting expectating twist.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly. So, did you like the ending? Did you? What are your thoughts?
The ending itself is, to me, I really liked the ending. I liked all the twists. I mean, I keep going back and forth on how I feel about the twist that Ellie Staple's part of the secret society, even though I'm very, very well aware that, this happens in comic books all the time, and even Elijah makes a point again about this. I think it's fine. I think, overall it's a good twist, or all three of them are. Normally I would think the connection between Kevin Wendell Crumb's father being on the same train as David Dunn when, the train derailment happened, I would normally think that would be kind of making the world small. But again, taking, the movie on its own merits, this whole universe is very small. It all only happens in Philadelphia. So, so it's not a world ender, and also it builds an even bigger connection that, that tragedy sparks, heroes and villains. It sparks different kinds of people. It's basically the birth of all heroes and villains. And so it creates a very interesting kind of side twist, and it does. And it does give Elijah a little bit of a god complex. I don't know. The ending itself, like, I loved all the revelations. It was very, very interesting that they killed all the characters, all three of the, titular characters in, one fatal swoop in one scene. However, I still like the ending, and I love where it goes in that, final shot, even though I get the controversy behind the final shot of, like, well, isn't Glass the villain, and he's kind of getting this hurrah moment. It's really more of a hurrah moment for all three of these characters, and it's all, of these family members, who have lost, these people with extreme exceptionalities because society didn't want them, hence the secret society. So now, and at the end of the movie, when Glass's recordings of David and the Horde's fight is revealed, it's a really nice, touching ending. It's a really nice, very touching ending that these people have lost the people they loved, and now they get to share their memory and spread it, and by honoring them. I don't know. It's to me, it's it's a very heartfelt and very nice ending to a trilogy that's basically nothing but empathy, and has nothing but empathy for its characters, and not just the three superpowered beings, but the other three characters that have been around the other three, the three supporting characters. So my thoughts on the ending are, I think it was a great ending. Is it a little cheesy? Yes. Is it controversial? Yes. But I stand by that. I think M. Night Shyamalan crafted the perfect ending. In that it's sad, but there's still a bittersweetness to it.
The thing with Elijah, where it's like, it goes back to this, like, Joker complaint in The Dark Knight, where it's like, oh, he's able to predict everything and everyone and all this, but again, it goes to where this is a fictional character in a very exaggerated world. It's, he has a certain superpower in his intelligence, which is confirmed when she checks his frontal lobe, and yeah, I think it isn't too difficult to, I don't know, accept that twist. It almost reminds me.
Yeah, I mean, to me, it's not.
Yeah, I don't know. It almost reminds me of for Dark Knight. Excuse me, not Dark Knight, or Dark Knight Rises, where it's like, how does he get back to Gotham?
Well, to go more further into my point, it's not to me necessarily a plot hole in that regard. It's more of a, like, where people are coming from, that he is the villain of the story, and he kind of but to me, the way I look at the ending is, all of these people, or Elijah's mother, Anya Taylor-Cook's character, and David Dunn's son, impacted by these people in some way, and they're all together at the end to honor them, to honor their and to look at these people as like people, who have just never had the chance to, should have never been able to, like, get voices heard, and now their voice is being heard. So together, them holding their hands, commemorating the honor of their memory. Yes, I'll set it up, and he is the villain, technically. This is these three characters commemorating their memory. Like they didn't die in vain. They didn't die at the service of protecting the this secret society's goal.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly.
That's what I. So to me, that's why the ending works for me. Is that it's in the end, it's these three characters. They're memorializing, and they're watching the memorial the people that they loved.
Yeah, exactly.
So, and again, that's like the most empathetic, most pure moment of the entire trilogy. Watching the world, watch their father or their son or for Anya Taylor-Joy, her friend, or like them in action and their memory not being lost or forgotten, which is very powerful.
Yeah.
It's a very powerful ending. But yeah. So with that, Gene, do you have any? Is there any more to say on Glass?
No, I don't think so. Yeah, just I was very happy with it, and it's the story M. Night wanted to tell, and he got to tell it. And I think as the storyteller of all the three films, he did an amazing job. So
I think there's certain faults in this one that in his previous bad endeavor. But honestly, I think M. Night. I think M. Night Shyamalan kind of hit it out of the park with this one. And really watch it is to watch it through this movie's merits. So, I think so. If you are expecting an epic Shelley doing wrong, you're probably doing a disservice for the movie.
Yeah, exactly.
In viewing the movie that way. So with that, if there's nothing else, Gene, where can the good people find you?
You can find me on Twitter and Instagram, Gene9892.
All right, and you can find me on Twitter at MovieKale, and you can also follow the show at The Youth Critic, and you can also follow the channel that distributes this podcast at KHC Network. Thanks, everyone, for listening. We will be back with you very, very soon with the Lego Movie 2.
My bones break easily. I've had 94 breaks in my life.
But you have an extraordinary IQ.
This is not a cartoon. This is the real world.
No way.
And yet, some of us still don't die with bullets. Some of us can still bend steel. I've been waiting for the world to see that we exist. May I meet the beast? I hope for your sake that he likes you. That sounds like the bad guys teaming up. A lot of people are going to die. Don't do this. Are you ready?
What do we call you, sir?
First name, Mr. Last name, Glass.